2025, No Turning Back, a live event with world-renowned astrologer, the Leo King. This isn't just astrology, it's a revelation of the most extraordinary cosmic transits of our time. These alignments, thousands of years in the making, will shape the world and your personal destiny in ways you can't imagine. The Leo King will break down how these astrological events will impact global shifts in your life, offering clarity and insight during this pivotal moment in history. Plus, looking back on the last 5 years, these special videos have made a name for themselves. Discover how these celestial events will influence global dynamics, societal shifts, and your individual path forward. Whether you're a seasoned astrology enthusiast or a curious beginner, this event will provide clarity, guidance, and inspiration during a pivotal moment in history. The experience doesn't stop there. Following his presentation, the Leo King will host a live Q&A session, giving you the unique opportunity to ask your most pressing questions and gain real-time insights tailored to your concerns. This event is a must-attend for anyone seeking to navigate these unprecedented times with awareness and intention. Mark your calendar, invite your friends, and prepare to embark on a cosmic journey that will leave you informed and empowered. Don't miss No Turning Back, a one-of-a-kind event that will define how you approach the future. Be there.
Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Monday, January 13th, 2025. I'm astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, thanks so much for being a part of highvibe.tv. If you are not a part of it, make sure that you become a member now. You can be part of our High Vibe membership or even our Premium Plus. I am going to be having my special event tomorrow, Tuesday, January 14th, which you just saw the trailer for. My 2025 No Turning Back. This will be my yearly horoscope. Of course, you know me. I do them way different than most people. The predictions, how we're getting through it evolutionary, going into the history, transits, and always the big surprises that I do for every year. Especially this one is the one I've been saying for years. I've been waiting for that this would be the year that's make 2024 look weak. It's happening tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And of course, you can always get the download if you can't make the live, but you do miss the Q&A portion. So just go to highvibe.tv for that. Well, I hope everybody's doing good out there. It's been quite the energy coming into this full moon. Of course, this is a full moon in Cancer that will occult. Mars retrograde in Cancer. And Mars, of course, in the fall position in Cancer. So, you know, I had a lot of fun making the thumbnail for this horoscope because I thought it represented pretty well what we're all going through and energetically what's been going on. Pulling it up right now. But, you know, it is a very auspicious and very unique and very rare full moon that we're having here. Of course, the moon in Cancer being in its dignified home, but having Mars in fall, that it's going to, this full moon is occulting Mars, or it's going to, you're not going to be able to see it. And that adds to, well, whether it's the inflammation or the sciatica, I just realized For weeks, I've been wondering what's been going on. I guess I really am 40 years old, and it's been really difficult. I thought I would go unscathed with Pluto opposite my sun or Mars retrograde over my sun. It's kind of like these wildfires. The transit happened, and then days after, you start seeing things. And especially with Pluto, right? But this full moon is tapping into this Pluto energy as well, which we will cover in today's astrology horoscope as well. But I did want to put up, for anybody that has questions out there, I did this, of course, with that crab being the energy of the full moon and Popeye as Capricorn, the sun. And with Saturn being in Pisces, it's definitely not the easiest one. We also have that North Node that just came into Pisces. We're going to be looking at that in the chart, but this really is this energy of, it's messy. And we have to remember it's going to get messier with all these Pisces transits that are still going on, and still the most peak of them are yet to come. So let's take a look, see what's going on in the astrology for this full moon in Cancer here. Number one, this full moon happening at 23 degrees and 59 minutes of Cancer and Capricorn. Very interesting, since we just had January 12th yesterday, which was 5 years ago, the Saturn and Pluto conjunction, also with the Sun, Mercury, and Ceres, right? We had this massive conjunction 5 years ago that changed the whole world. So already there is this kind of weird energy that a full moon is happening. It's, of course, weirder because it was a lunar eclipse in Cancer 5 years ago that happened on January 10th. That was 2 days prior to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So that was a lunar eclipse opposite Saturn, Pluto, Mercury, and so forth. But this one's very rare because, of course, we are in a Mars retrograde, and we are coming to the peak of Mars showing itself as Earth is getting ready to pass Mars this week, since the Sun is about to oppose Mars retrograde. Or, from a helio view, Earth is about to pass Mars. So the fact that this full moon that's going to be happening, and you can just see it right here, it's going to be happening at 2549 north in declination, and here's Mars at 2454 north of declination. So both are out of bounds, and yeah, that moon is occulting Mars retro. Now, why is that a big deal? I'll use an example from 5 years ago and even 6 and 7 years ago. When the moon would come into Capricorn every month, it would occult Saturn that was in Capricorn and Pluto, but of course we don't see Pluto with our eyes, or even, good luck, with to use probes and Voyagers to get there. And I think that's important to remember that at that time everything was being set up, okay? Meaning everything we went through in 2020 was the years that was every month a meeting or backdoor shit, weird planning. So let's flip it. This is a full moon in Cancer with the Sun in Capricorn, and there is no more Pluto. So this is our first full moon in Cancer without having Pluto in Capricorn since 2007. But this one is the moon occulting Mars retrograde. So one, we're drained. Mars is in the fall position here. It is not happy to be here, -4. Okay? It is not a happy place for Mars. Our emotions get involved. We can be very tired. But more importantly, it could be inflammation. It could be rashes. All these kind of things. And so this moon's trying to find comfort. But it's in already discomfort opposing the Sun in Capricorn. And already, if you just see where Mars retrograde is at 27 degrees retrograde in Cancer, it's in opposition to the midpoint between this Pluto and Sun. Pluto, of course, being at 1 degree of Aquarius, the Sun at 24 going on, 2359 going 24 Capricorn, right? So that's a 7 degree, 3.5 each way, minus 3.5 degrees back, or 3.5 degrees forward, and there you get that Mars at 27. So this is a very uncomfortable full moon. And a lot of it is about what's it hiding. Well, I mean, how are you going to, very Mars fashion, move forward when it feels like things are back? I mean, or they're going backwards, or we don't know where they're going. Why? Well, Uranus in Taurus, Jupiter in Gemini, and Mars retrograde in Cancer, the 3 planets retrograde. And the moon has spent this whole time waxing to get to this apex, and over this last week has been with all the 3 planets that are retrograde. And so it's also then having the moon be directly in front, out of bounds. And what's interesting is it's like, Cancer's so different than Capricorn, right? Like Capricorn with Saturn, when we had the moon occulting that every month for years, it was like, okay, the moon's at detriment there, Saturn's at home, so yeah, it's plans. But Mars is at fall here. So what it is this very difficult moment in our lives where we want to find comfort, but it's hard to find the strength. It's hard to find the courage. I just was mentioning my sciatica. I just realized I had finally. It's like, right? It deals with muscles, inflammation. And being in Cancer here, right, could be anger. I've been seeing a lot of anger over these fires over the last week. But more importantly, this is us with now a North Node in Pisces and Neptune, Saturn, and Venus in Pisces. Venus, of course, has slowed down, only doing 59 minutes a day, going slower than the sun. It's in its slowdown and starting to make a conjunction to Saturn. Now, Venus is exalted in Pisces, but this is not the dispositor of the South Node anymore. It's Mercury, since we have South Node Virgo and North Node Pisces. And this is the first time in our lives we will see North Node Neptune in Pisces, right? We saw South Node Neptune in Pisces. That was back in 2016. And that was in square to Saturn. Now we have Saturn with Neptune. So this is that Saturn finally coming into that alignment of the conjunction that we're going to see in about a year from now. And they are going to be so close that it looks like they're conjunct, but they're not. So it's bringing up this huge Neptune-Saturn energy. And with the North Node here, it's this kind of sloppy mess that, whether you see that out in the world, whether you see that in your life, this has also been over this weekend. The North Node just moved into Pisces. It left Aries, so that it's not dispositing Mars anymore. Now, Mars at least is, kind of when it's North Node in Aries. You have to remember Chiron was with the North Node the last 18 months. Now this North Node's with Neptune, Saturn, and it's going to be with Venus through the retrograde. It's going to be with the Sun that's coming up. It's going to be with Mercury that's coming up in the months ahead. But there's going to be a lot of activity on that North Node, and it's happening now in the southern part of declination. So we flipped the coin of the North Node, right? So the North is in tails and the head, and the South is in the heads, right? Because the South now is North. And so this is a whole different flip of the coin, and it's pulled the rug out from Mars. So now Mars is not happy. It's a full moon occulting it. So Mars likes to be shining, especially right now, right? This is the only time every 2 years when Mars retrogrades that you get to see the sun on the other side, to be able to see Mars at its full glory. So its own battle cry, it's letting the moon, so it's almost like the mother, right, stepping in front of the warrior and kind of being like, I don't want you to be seen, Mars. So it's almost like, does Mars feel embarrassed? Does Mars feel like one-upped, right? So that this Mars is not happy in any shape or form, okay? Plus, the moon has just been feeling all these planets that are still retrograde, and we're already in 2025, right? So this is not a year, if you want to use calendar year, where it's just going to go right where you want it to go right away. No way. And this is also with Mars in trine to Neptune. And so I've been seeing some very interesting people put out their stuff about this. Number one, this is now North Node Neptune, Pisces. Neptune is the ruler. Neptune has been the ruler this whole time of the transit since 2011 into 2012. And really, ever since Saturn was in Capricorn and then it was in Aquarius, those were some interesting times because there was a lot of, Neptune, Saturn energy that was both in their dignified rulership. But now it's been Neptune. It's always been Neptune. It's been in the hierarchy if we're doing dispositing. And so this is interesting that now it's getting all the power. And so Mars here doesn't know how to surrender to the messiness. And so all of us, when it comes to where you're going to find your comfort zones, it's going to be messy out there. And it's all about you allowing yourself to, one, we're going to have to get in touch with our feelings like we haven't for a long time. And I'm talking about, remember, the whole time that Pluto was in Capricorn for 16 years, 2008 through just 2024, that just finally finished, Mars never retrograded in opposition to Pluto. And so we've just dealt with Mars retrograde in opposition to Pluto now in Aquarius, and we still have that Mars that will come back and cross over that opposition again. So we've been through two of them. But this Mars now has the moon in front of it. The North Node just left Aries and just said bye. And this is also an interesting full moon because it is in square to Chiron in Aries. And so it is in opposition to the midpoint, at least Mars retrograde, of the Sun Pluto. And then even if you want to get really deep on this, Venus and Saturn coming together, which they are going to come together multiple times because that Venus retrograde is coming up here right when Mars ends its retrograde at the end of February. Then at the very first week of March, boom, Venus retrograde. We haven't been through that one, of course, since the Aries Pisces one of 2017. So every 8 years. And so I think it's really interesting now that we are in this phase of, hey, things are not easy. Venus is not getting her full pop of excitement, dreamy, but really I think it's, the reality check of how we can make big dreams come true, but really focusing on our subconscious, focusing on this more internal self. We are going to see a world with a very externalized, very extroverted form. But right now, this is us really hermiting, really inside, and having to face a lot of, what normally might not be so difficult. So that's where I'm going to throw in that curveball. What always has been difficult for you isn't what's difficult. This is like what you usually are okay with, that you're not, right? So, because it's been so long, plus this North Node Neptune here, oh boy, it's like it's stuff that you just didn't see coming. Now, that can feel very Uranian, but Neptune it's stuff that you had a sense it was going this way, but no, it's not going that way. It's bringing up something else. It's something that wasn't being able to be seen, right? All the outer planets have that element, right, of shock in their own ways. But Neptune's that subtle shock that kind of goes, well, this crept up on me. And so it's about allowing yourself to, one, okay, everybody is Superman with kryptonite, and this is our kryptonite we're dealing with. We have Mercury that, of course, finally out of Sag. Mercury in Capricorn here. Mercury's picking up good speed. It's doing a degree in 28 minutes, almost 29 minutes. And it's here at 7 degrees. But everywhere you look in this chart, whether it's Mercury in sesquiquadrate to Uranus, or we start to see even Venus here in sesquiquadrate to Mars retrograde here. Saturn in sesquiquadrate to the moon. Saturn in it's almost there. Oh yeah, in semi-square to Pluto. I mean, this is like not the easiest stuff. Now the sun is trine Uranus. So I think that but it is Uranus retrograde, and Uranus, of course, is going to go direct at the end of January. So, and then Jupiter is going to come direct at the very beginning of February, and then Mars is going to end its retrograde at the end of February. So there's a holding pattern, and this South Node in Virgo now is a new thing. With Mercury being in Capricorn, it's almost like you want to try and be on top of everything, but it's so messy that this is like another layer of ego surrender that is not even one we've fathomed. Something that's newly been come up. And you have to just accept this. And you have to find compassion with yourself. You have to realize that self-care is number one. This is also the sun in Capricorn without Pluto. So let's be real. It's not about how hard you achieve it now or how big you get. It's really getting back to like, okay, in order for you to be performing your best tasks, be on your destiny, you need to be taking care of yourself. And this Mars is going to bring up a lot of aggravated issues that you feel like you're needing to take care of. Tend to yourself. Self-care is going to be, not easy. I mean, this whole sciatica thing, I've never had it before. So, this whole, a massage ain't going to fix it? Fuck, right? So, it's uncomfortable stuff. And because this full moon will be occulting Mars, it's going to bring up Mars themes. Of course, we're seeing fires. Of course, it could be arguments, it could be fights, definitely inflammation, definitely irritation, definitely rash, right? Like a lot of this energy, plus this Chiron in Aries that finally just came direct here at the end of December. It's been like 2 weeks now, and Chiron here, 19 degrees, the exalted position where the sun usually is, without the North Node here. So, it's almost like we've spent so much time doing a lot of healing on our ego, and then it's like big reality check, Venus, Saturn. What is the stuff that we have to let go of? So there's stuff that's coming up of how to make a shift, and it's not like a pivot as much as it is a little bit messy. You're going to have to do this and then do that and then not know how it's going to go. And so the idea of what is sure at this moment is out the window. There is no, oh yeah, I for sure know what's going to happen next. And so it feels like we're kind of standing in this empty void. And especially with North Node at 29 Pisces, plus with Neptune being there, Mars retrograde there, this full moon in Cancer, it does feel like this overwhelming, how do we find safety on the beach? Like while there's a tidal wave happening. Not easy. Or it just feels like it's overwhelming sometimes because that's why I used Popeye in my image, right? Like on the couch as the fire's going on with the crab and they're waking up after they don't have enough energy to even deal with it, right? So even this Capricorn energy with Saturn in Pisces, right? Really not feeling it either. Okay, like it's too big of a mess. Neptune's the ruler of Pisces, and the North Node's with there, and so we're going into the eye of the deepest spiritual storm of all time, and it's the realization that we've crossed into that. And so this is the full moon about letting go of any aggravation you have about that, any subconscious stuff where you're trying to escape the reality of that. Like this Venus is, to be honest with you, Venus, it's going to pass Saturn here, of course, in about the next 5 days. And then it's going to come back in months ahead and retrograde back into Pisces and station on Saturn for weeks. I'm telling you, this Venus-Saturn is going to be rough. So when it comes to the financial markets or what normally makes you feel good, I've set it on high vibe if you're on high vibe, but if you're out there in YouTube world or anything, like this is a time where you got to be very careful who you're picking and choosing in your life if you're choosing new people, especially while Mars is in retrograde. For those in like love or romantic stuff, with Jupiter still in retrograde, like, and that's the thing is we've got Uranus that's getting ready to finally come direct, but that's still weeks away. Same thing with Jupiter. It's 3.5 weeks. Uranus is about 3 weeks. Oh, it's like, yeah, I guess it's the 13th. So I'll say 3 weeks, 2.5. And then Mars at the end of February. So it's like, one, you have to find extreme patience, but then the energy of that Uranus, like, when's the electricity going to turn back on me figure out everything? The sun trine Uranus to me is, the positive is, well, Do I have to have it all figured out? And the more I don't focus on it, it'll just show up when it does. The good things will just show up when they do. Stop looking for things. Let them surprise you. Jupiter retrograde. The feeling of doom and gloom and at the end of the world, or even in your mind, or when is there going to be good luck? I need good luck. It's not coming yet, but it's already happening. It's just that you can't see it. Okay? And then you add this moon that's like feeling the abrasion. Like it feels like it's like the biggest knot in your soul that you're having to rub out. And it's not just easily going to go away, or a rash that you just are like, huh. Or, a lot of people out there could be getting shingles, could be getting like weird stuff. This is Mars stuff, right? And when it gets there, it goes deeper into your immunity and so forth. And the moon being here, you got to take care of yourself. You can't outpace yourself right now. This is astrology like we have not seen in fucking decades, okay? Even close to it in our lives, where out of nowhere there's this weird interim moment between now and this next season as we come into the spring, where you are on massive alert of there is no other option but to take this slow. There is no other option but to find the bigger vision and the spiritual version that actually is this wide picture and how long the journey is to get there. And if you're looking for fast handouts or fast glory or fast anything or something that'll make you feel good quickly, it's going to show you how good or bad it is real quick, because it's all being filtered through Pisces. It's all being filtered in, is this good for your soul? Is this your highest place that you can be? And the biggest thing is this full moon is reminding us, with Mars retrograde there, the big opposition and also the conjunction of the sun that's coming to Pluto, and the opposition of this full moon to Pluto, right? That the sun Pluto has not met in Aquarius yet. In 2024, a year ago, they met at 29:59 Capricorn. So this is a week where we are extremely feeling the phobia of what is going to happen. And so this full moon is not comfortable. I'd say, it's kind of hard. You lose track of how many horoscopes you do when you do one every day for fucking 13 years. But I can tell you, this is one of the most uncomfortable moons I've seen since 2014, when we had everything in cardinal signs, and it was like Mars retrograde in Libra, and it was Jupiter in Cancer, and it was Uranus in Aries, and Pluto in Capricorn, and those lunar eclipses. And then all that Pisces stuff that came too. It was a massive transit of 6 planets in Pisces. I would say that it's been, since 2013 into 2014, since we've come close to anything like harsh like this. But this is a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different tier. It's a whole different zone. And the only way through this is letting go of trying to fix everything. And this is where it's going to be very difficult. The South Node being here in Virgo now, and Pluto being in Aquarius. These two are not, I would say it's the worst combo to have, right? Pluto in Aquarius, South Node Virgo, bad combo, right? When it comes to trying to fix everything, there is no solution. The more that you just keep trying to figure it out, the more that you keep trying to dig for every answer in the universe. It's going to come to you naturally. Spirit's going to bring things when Spirit brings it. Dreams can only be made if they actually have a way forward. So don't stop dreaming, but also stop dreaming of things that really don't have a way, right? So, this is asking for us to really go, what is that we need to let go of that's really just a waste of our time, a waste of our energy? So this Venus Saturn that we're going to see for the months ahead, being so next to each other, so close, and a very difficult Venus that's going to retrograde, of course, in Aries, where it's at its detriment, and then come back into its exaltation, but it's not going to feel that exalted being over Rahu, being over Saturn many times. I would say that, it's time to weed out all these things that really aren't going to make sense in your life, that aren't spiritually going to pass, or that you can't bypass anymore, right? You got to really the Capricorn lesson here is, okay, it's about building this reframing in your life. And this reframing is reframing like, okay, I can do this, I can do that. Where's this really messy? And then it's really messy. I want to do something, but I also have to take care of myself, and you have to get yourself back to a better spot. And it's going to take time. The world's going to have to be extremely patient. The world's going to, it's beyond patience. We're in a time to where there is no, it's going to happen at this moment. There's no way for you to get it that way. So really it's all about, kind of walking into the woods or jumping into the ocean and seeing the mysteries and the mystical aspect through those things more than, oh yeah, this minute it'll happen here and this will happen there. It feels like we're in world of disassociation that's also trying to fix the disassociation, and you can't fix disassociation in the middle of being disassociated. So this is where we can get some of that spiritual outside help, prayer, meditation, some people religious, wherever it might be. Your way through this time is your spiritual dignity, your spiritual quest, and knowing that you've made it to a space that's very hard to get to. And the universe is saying, all right, let's clean you up a little bit here. And even though it's exciting, we all feel we're at a big space, and this could happen in our life next, and this could, and this might, and this is exciting. And then at the same time, oh shit, you have to kind of look at it like, oh, maybe God's right. It's time for me to go take that bath. It's time for me to take this day off. It's time for me to take a better look at what's this pain? What's this ache? What's this rash? What's this irritation I'm having? What's this anger? What's this fear? What's this abrasion that's happening? Right? There is no pop right now. It's dull. And then if it's not dull, it's edgy in the negative sense. So the positive stuff is in that spiritual private place within you. It's not in the outside world. So you trying to fix the outside world by worrying about all these little things is going to make you start to lose it with Pluto in Aquarius, right? You're going to just start overly trying to find the answer to this and to that. And so this is like, it's almost like screen time. Like getting off screen time is a good thing, right? Like it can clear our heads. This is us having to really go, I have to take stock on my personal needs. How am I going to not be overly protective, right? And actually look at myself for real with that Mars in trine to Neptune in the North Node. Let me actually look at the stuff, like being honest with ourselves, being honest in our conscious awareness. And so this is about our individual consciousness and how it can help the world more than trying to find every little nut and bolt that we need to fix in the world, right? We have to do the work in our own self. And you have to remember that you hoping somebody will show up for you the same way that you would hopefully think you could show up for them. Well, it's one of those things to where look at yourself more, because what if you can show up the way that you would want somebody else to show up for you, right? Because everybody's dealing with an ailment right now. Everybody's dealing with something that's come up. Everybody's dealing with something that is literally, as the full moon is occulting Mars retrograde, it's a retreat, right? A full moon on Mars retrograde that's being blocked out is a retreat that we don't want to admit. It's very private. People forget Cancer's the fourth house, and it's a very private house too. And Neptune, North Node now is in Pisces, is very private. Right? So this is like a sensitive time. You don't need to tell the world everything, but it's like, it's time for you to realize, hey, it feels like there's a retreat, and that might not be a bad thing, right? We all need to, whether you want to say lick your chops a little bit. Of course, it's not going to be perfect the way that you're going to feel, right? So we might have too much of a focus on, okay, once I get to this place and I feel this way, then I'll go rock it. We're not going to get to there either. It's more like, where can I get to where I'm functioning in my soul, in my mind, in my values, my comforts, and I have some sort of understanding of like a gauge system, like, okay, and timing of when things are. And divine timing is everything now. Like, there is no more when you want it. That's over. It's when Spirit's going to bring it now. And so the more that you accept everything happening, the easier life will get. It's very simple now, although it's very complicated because many people are very complicated. You have to fully accept now. You have to fully surrender. You have to fully adapt in moments when it feels like, oh, why did I get this? Why am I having this? I'm going to call this the full moon of the ailment, right? Right? Mars deals with, I've talked about all those things, but it also deals with the head, headaches, tendons, ligaments. And so, it's not, right? Like once my hamstring feels better, once my back pain goes away, once this goes away, once there is no once that goes away right now. It's when I at least get to a spot when the divine universe shows up with when I need to show up, then I can. And if I can, then I will. That's it. So I think that, this is about letting go of like, I need to charge. No, this is retreat. And you don't need to retreat so fast. It's not like there's something running to come and get us. Right? This is this more deeper spiritual retreat we're doing within ourselves and allowing ourselves to be okay with that. Like we've all been through Pluto and Capricorn for 16 years. It was edgy and rigid to get to this spot, meaning we got lots of cuts and scrapes from rocks along the way. And, there's a burning desire, even with this Mars and Pluto that are still, of course, in opposition and being highlighted by this full moon. But, with that and the sun getting ready to oppose Mars retrograde here, I mean, you have to remember, like, this is our identity and our soul and our ego. It's not just going the way you want it to go, especially about feelings. Right? So the more that you get lost in the expectation of the way the feeling should look and feel, you're fucked. So to be honest with you, this kind of throws this whole like mantra thing out the window, right? Because it's like there is no mantra except for the mantra that you create in the moment. It's more like Eckhart Tolle. Do you think Eckhart Tolle's giving you mantras? No, he's just saying like live in the moment. Focus on the tree. Like, what? Some people have a hard time with that. So I think there's going to be a ton of anxiety, mental health issues for people who really don't know how to let go and just let it be as is right now. People that need control, right? So there's also this kind of like after effect of Pluto Capricorn that hasn't fully finished till the Sun Pluto conjunction. And if you think about this week and this full moon and the North Node now with Neptune and Pisces, it literally is just like there is no ego that's getting what it wants. There's something that's agitating in between. You want a car. Oh, what's your credit score? Oh, it's not good enough. Sorry. Oh, yeah, I was going to get this and I was going to do that. Oh, that's not available now. Right? So it's weird because it's all different right? It's like stuff that usually we feel comfortable with and like always feel, yeah, I got that I always make that work. And it's like, wait, what? It could even be stuff that's new that's never popped up in your life. Like I've never dealt with sciatica. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? I guess I'm getting old. Right? Like, oh, that hurts. Right? So it's kind of like, okay, got nerve fucking issues. I got something going on in my spine. I start taking better care of myself. Never dealt with that before. Right? So instead of just like getting upset about it and then, oh, I wish I could go do this and do that, and I have all these things to do, I'm going to do what I can do when I can do it. There is nowhere in this astrology of, oh yeah, this is about this big moment that you're going to capitalize on. that's why, and it sucks that we're in a world that have to reiterate this in visual. This is more what everybody's feeling. And I'm not saying let the house burn down. What I'm saying is there's an overwhelm. And, you know, when the moment comes to where the fire's too close, then you move out of the house with the crab, right? But neither one is really, right? This moon's trying in Cancer, being in its dignified home and the ruler of Cancer, and like trying to show this, I've got it all handled, right? Both Cancer and Capricorn are control freaks, right? Like Cancer's controlling of like, I have it all under control with like safety and to make sure I'm protecting. I'm a good mother, right? I want to control the environment. I want to control the home and make sure it's safe and good. And Capricorn's like, no, I'm the father, and I have the ability to make big decisions, and I'm protecting because I have the right network of people. I know the people in the military. I know this person and that person, and I can make it happen, and I will do the extra work, right? So it's this really kind of toxic situation we're dealing with here of like, you're not going to get anywhere with that attitude right now, either one, right? So, you know, this is North Node Neptune, and Neptune is the hierarchical ruler. So your only way through is this multidimensional portal spiritually. And so what this also is letting go of where your ego, moon, occulting, Mars retrograde in Cancer, was so comfortable in the direction it always went and how it got to where it wanted to go. Right? It's decades now that we've been through in the last time Mars was retrograde, but that happened in early Cancer and then came back into Gemini. We've not seen it from Leo into Cancer. And so now this is way different with an opposition to Pluto. So it's like, yeah, God, before allowing us to really step in to see what all this is like, go take care of yourself. You're not going to miss out. But to find empathy from other people, not going to be an easy one. Because anybody who's kind of demanding and you need to be doing this, they don't even know your full story. They don't even know what's going on, right? So you have to remember, like, hey, one, how do you communicate that? Well, at least Mercury's in Capricorn here. So just keep the basic framework of like, I'm able to do this now and I can't this, and I don't have a time on that, or I do have a time on this, right? There's no, this is also the sun preparing itself, and it's already getting it with the full moon, right, on Mars retrograde, which is super rare. Then this is our first Pluto conjunction in Aquarius with the sun that's a week away, right? And then the sun is going to have to go through all this crazy shit that's coming up by the node that's going to see the Saturn-Neptune crossover into Aries and ingress for the first time in our lives together, right? Especially Neptune. But then, of course, Venus that will retrograde over back in Aries and then come back over with Mercury into Pisces and conjunct and station on Saturn. And as the sun comes in, and by the time we finally get to the end of this spring and come into the next solstice, I mean, that's when it's like, holy shit, it feels like a whole different world and we have some strength back. But it's going to take that long. You are at massive depleted energy. Your battery is zonked. You're going to have to like take some time to slowly trickle charge your way back. There is no perfect, more. The harder you push, the worse it gets. Literally. There is no, I'll just keep pushing harder and fucking get there. No. It's consistency and ease and, gosh, getting us back to some Pisces energy for once in a long time of like, hey, I see the horizon. I know I'll get there. I have trust in my intuition. And I'll take my time. I don't have to rush. Rushing will be your worst enemy. Forcing will be your worst enemy. You don't want to deplete so much when you're already full depletion at this moment, because then what are you running on, fumes or nothing? And then the car stalls, your engines, your soul stalls out, and then you become fractured, right? And we have to watch where our minds are right now with the South Node now in Virgo, right? And if you think about with Mercury being in Capricorn here, it's like, oh, wait, no, I want to figure it all out now. I want to have the direction. And the sun's wanting that too. But there's that battle that's having to happen. It's like, hey, we can have direction, but it's got to be based off like there's issues at home. So this is kind of the mom, moon, Cancer calling up Capricorn, the dad, like the son there being like, all right, well, husband, like, you know, our son's not having a good day. He threw up at school. He's not doing well. And now I'm sick. And right. And it was like the Capricorn energy is like, what do you mean? We have to go do this tonight. We have to go to this big dinner. And so you can't get mad. There's going to be people who are going to say they're going to come to your thing or whatever. And they're not. And this is going to go on for months. And you can't get upset. There is nothing in this astrology that's changing it. It's just going to get more intense. This is the most intense year of our lives. Ever. And before we start to see the big shift stuff, talk about the... It kind of feels very... how the universe kind of balances itself out. But... yeah. We're all showing up with no battery. No gasoline in the tank. And so if you know, the harder you try to push this, it's almost like running on fumes. It's like, no, there is no, especially now that we're in Pisces, there is no drug, there is no alcohol that you could use to kind of try and, that won't even work. Right? So there's like kind of no cheating, meaning like, oh, I could just try and find an upper or downer or something. No. Even that'll make it worse. Like, there's no getting around this huge mirror of your subconscious and your patterns. And what's been draining us are the patterns that you've cut a lot of your patterns out, a lot of subconscious stuff out, the more spiritual that you've been. But the truth is, these are the ones that even are highest awareness conscious still pushes some things under the rug that we forget about. And so that's what Mars is, the abrasion in this full moon, that it's actually very caretaking, even though it doesn't look like it. It's like, let's bring out the fucking soldier who's really been stabbed but didn't want to tell people, right? Like, oh, what? I don't let people know. Oh, yeah, you've been stabbed and your appendix is out and it's hanging out the side of your belly. What? Like, you know, like, you know, like we have to deal with these things first. It's not going to be comfortable at all for a long time. But spiritually, when you're spiritually working on things, it's a good time for a vision board. My wife and I we bought like a week ago, just some basic poster board. But like, let's make some new vision boards for this North Node Neptune Pisces stuff. And knowing that it takes some time to get to that place. I just told my wife tonight, I said, you know, I'm looking forward to doing it because like, this is like this moment in my life where I'm usually like, I know what my next move is. I know where I'm going next, but being a father, having another kid on the way and just been in life, you know, and I think, you know, this also brings up like, okay, maybe it's not about the vision you thought you had. Maybe this is the universe saying it's time to re-divert to a whole nother vision. This is a different vision quest. It's not the one you thought, not the one your ego was comfortable with the whole time. Well, once I make it here, then I'll do this. That's the story. I'm going to make it here and then I'll do this. And now it's like I've made it here and I'm not going to be able to do it that way. There's this now. There's that. There's this. So that's how it is now. So I think that those that are really spiritually attuned and willing to be extremely honest and humble and reflective, and knowing your dark side, your bad side, the things that are causing you pain within. Those are the things that are going to be the things to focus on right now and to work on. Everything else can't do anything until those things are done. And so, it's almost pointless right now to try and, anybody who's out there trying to flaunt, trying to parade around, that's a troubled soul. We're all going to have to find a way to get along on this planet now. Like, there is no more, it's going to get crazier. So you're going to have to find compassion. And you know what's really weird about this transit? And of course, since we've never been through it, but as an astrologer, it's going to bring up the layers of compassion you've never been through before. Meaning, you're going to have compassion and forgiveness for people, situations that you never thought you could ever have to before, or never been through before. Because you're going to want that same energy back. This is where you're not going to be able to do the one thing that you always were able to do. Now, it's not going to last forever, but it's going to bring up all those scenarios. So you're going to pray and hope that other people have the same compassion that you would have if that happened to you, right? That's what people need to be focusing on right now, instead of me, and why am I not feeling good? And why am I not feeling the way I want? And I need to do this, and I need to get this. I don't like that I'm going through this. Well, that's your problem. Well, I'm always able to do this, and I'm always comfortable. I always make that happen. Well, life's not always doing exactly what you want. And we're way out of bounds with this full moon, pushing our comfort zones and our agitations and our irritants and our rashes and our, inflammation and our headaches and our migraines and all these things, and even our chest pains and all these things to a whole other place that we haven't been to before. And that's like, you got to look at it as like, it kind of reminds me of like, oh, I got to go to this event. And then it's like, anybody who's a public speaker for a living, or even like me, a DJ or TV personality, right? Like, the number one fear of people like us isn't the speaking. It's if we get sick or something happens to us right before. Well, this is the perfect setup for these kind of events that are going to happen. So if you're throwing an event, just know there's going to be situations that start showing up like that. You have the perfect plan for some party or something, or you have the perfect, everybody you're going to have to find compassion in ways that you haven't before. This is where you're going to have a family member who just totally bails on you and you may feel they bail on you, but really there's something else going on that maybe they're too sensitive to talk about in the moment because they can't talk to you till it passes through. And they get all the info. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. We are dealing with a set of circumstances now that you've never been through. It's complicated, and you have to be like, okay, if it's complicated, it's complicated on the other side. And I have to be compassionate and understand that too. Because the setup to this full moon is, okay, it looked like I have this finally together, and I have this, and then what? Now I'm dealing with this? That's what this is. And Astro Gold just came out with their new 6.0, so now you can, in sheets, change things up. So the full moon happens at 2:40 or 2:26 p.m. Pacific, 14:26, and then it's happening at 17:26 Eastern. But let's see when that moon occults Mars retro at 26 degrees here, about 8 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. So I'm going to see this full moon rising, and you won't see it'll block Mars at its brightest. The next week is Mars at its brightest, right? I mean, especially at midnight, wherever you are in the world, when you start to get to this midnight energy, and you see Mars at the top, that's when it's the strongest since the sun's at the bottom. So, this is now where the moon occults it, and then the moon comes into Leo tomorrow and Pluto. This is going to be some gnarly ass shit. So buckle your ass up, and it's going to be uncomfortable. Find a pillow through the seat belt. I did that as a kid, right? But, in today's world, people are like, unless I do this or I have that, I can't do that. Welcome to finding comfort where it's not at. Especially with Venus and Saturn, and that's just the beginning of Venus-Saturn. In Pisces, that exaltation point is not getting its full pop. So it's not, right? And then it's Venus square Jupiter, the two benefics. So it feels like really bad luck coming in. Okay? I'm here to tell you it's not. It will look that way, though. There's a big test with your mind, especially South Node and Virgo now. But this is like massive tests about this feeling of bad luck. Or just, will there be any good moment that will happen? Is there any doorway good? Will I feel good in any way? And the subconscious trigger is going to be, let me escape. This is where people are going to relapse. Worst thing you could do in your life is relapse if you're somebody who's sober. Worst thing you could do is double down, do more if you are an addict. Worst thing you can do is like, I'm going to just do the thing that I know I shouldn't do. This is doing the stuff that you don't want to do that's difficult. And before you can even do that, you got to deal with the thing that you really don't want to do, which is to take care of yourself so you can do the thing that you already don't want to do. So that's like a double whammy of like, really? So I'd buckle up. There's nobody is dealing with it better. That's the illusion, right? Oh, everybody, this person's good. That person's good. This person's amazing. They look at them on social media. I'll say this in the best way that I can. The door we're looking for isn't a door that is in this traditional one-dimensional bullshit world we're in. We have to look at this multi-dimensional door that we haven't realized is there, that is there. And that goes deeper within. Now let's, for a second, take a look. I showed this to people on High Vibe. Let's go to 2007 here. The full moon was right there. There we go. Last time there was a full moon in Cancer with Pluto out of Capricorn was January 3rd, 2007. And that was with Mars and Pluto and Sag here. So we're in a Mars retrograde, right? So even the last full moon in Cancer you had without Pluto and Capricorn, it was a lot more powerful. Mars could deal with it, it could move. Saturn was in Leo. I mean, sure, it was weirder, though, because it was Saturn and Neptune in opposition. Then the last time that the South Node was in Pisces, which was 9 years ago, right? Guess what? It was Saturn-Neptune square, the three-quarter square of Saturn. Now we're in Saturn-Neptune together. So it's these full moon and Cancers are kind of bringing us into the Saturn-Neptune where it's a fucking mess. And that's sad. It's just more of that's what it is. I mean, that's why I'm using that kind of promo. This was the other image that I had made. Right? So, you know, so. you've had more power through all of them, but it hasn't been drained like this before, right? So, all right. Let's see what we got card wise. Tower card reversed. What do we got else with this? 5 of Wands upright. So, yeah, it's almost like we have a lot of confrontations going on, but we almost are like, we can deal with them. It's not going to take out everything. But we could also be kind of naive right now and being like, no, there's no storms that we're dealing with, and kind of avoiding the truth and just focusing on, well, how do I just win this conflict, or how do I just get through these things? It's like, pay more attention and don't be afraid of things changing. Don't be afraid of things ending. Remember, 12th house is endings. So weird. This computer never does this, but it's like fucking freaking the fuck out right now. So I'm going to get going, but I will be doing my special tomorrow. And if you want the real deal astrology, the shit, those lectures I do that blow everybody's minds, that still live here on YouTube, that everybody's like, fuck, this motherfucker called it all these years ago, and da-da-da. You want to really see what this is about. That's where we're going. And I'm really excited to do this. And I hope they can be there. It's at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, I put it in here. There we go. So, no turning back. highvibe.tv. You can go to the top of the website or down below on this video, wherever you're at. I appreciate you all very much. I'm sending you tons of love through these extreme times that are very extreme. And remember that you don't want to turn backwards and try and be the old you. Big time. You don't want to do that. And remember that God will only put us through what we literally can handle. Ironically, too, the last time that it was a full moon in Cancer without Pluto and Capricorn was North Node in Pisces. I'll talk to you all soon. Much love. Bye-bye.
"2025, no turning back, a live event with world-renowned astrologer, Leo King. This isn't just astrology, it's a revelation of the most extraordinary cosmic transits of our time. These alignments, thousands of years in the making, will shape the world and your personal destiny in ways you can't imagine. The Leo King will break down how these astrological events will impact global shifts in your life, offering clarity and insight during this pivotal moment in history. Plus, looking back on the last 5 years, these special videos have made a name for themselves. Discover how these celestial events will influence global dynamics, societal shifts, and your individual path forward. Whether you're a seasoned astrology enthusiast or a curious beginner, this event will provide clarity, guidance, and inspiration during a pivotal moment in history. The experience doesn't stop there. Following his presentation, the Leo King will host a live Q&A session, giving you the unique opportunity to ask your most pressing questions and gain real-time insights tailored to your concerns. This event is a must-attend for anyone seeking to navigate these unprecedented times with awareness and intention. Mark your calendar, invite your friends, and prepare to embark on a cosmic journey that will leave you informed and empowered. Don't miss No Turning Back, a one-of-a-kind event that will define how you approach the future. Be there.